Hi friends, in this video section we are going to be discussing the income method. Remember, we first introduced this income method when we were first talking about appraisals, and the income method is used for income generating properties. That could be commercial or residential properties, but the key is that for these properties the main goal of ownership is to generate cash flows through renting out the property. So this income method can sometimes be overwhelming for students, but there's absolutely no need to be overwhelmed. It's a pretty simple concept that guides this entire section. The income method says simply, what am I going to get out of this investment based on what I put in? What am I going to get out of this investment based on what I put in? So what we're getting out is the cash flows, what we call net operating income. What is it net producing for me compared to what I have to buy the investment for? So it's net operating income compared to the price of the investment that we're concerned about. And that gives us what we call a rate of return, a very important number for investors. Investors typically have a rate of return in mind whenever they're making an investment decision. So you guys going down the real estate route, you're going to be advising your clients to say, well, hey, this project can get you a rate of return of 6% or 8% or 10%. So understanding this concept is very important as you help your clients in the future. So let's look at this concept a little bit. If net operating income divided by the price equals the rate of return, then how can we get a better rate of return? What can we do to improve the rate of return of any given project? Well, it's pretty straightforward. The more income the project makes, the better it is for us, right? So let's start out with a very simple example. Let's say that a project earns a net operating income of $100,000, and it cost us $1 million to purchase. So 100,000 divided by 1 million is 10%. It's earning a 10% rate of return. So what could we do then to improve the rate of return? Well, what if the income goes up? If the income goes up from 100,000 to let's say 20,000, well, 120,000 divided by 1 million, that's 12%. So by increasing the income, we've increased the rate of return. So all else being equal, the same project with a higher income level would earn a higher rate of return. Well, what else can you do? Well, as an investor, we always want to get these investments for the best price possible, which means the lower the investment requirement, the price of the project, the better it is for us. So if we have a $100,000 income generating project, but we were able to buy it for $800,000, well, that's a 12.5% rate of return. So we can increase the rate of return by either increasing the income or decreasing the purchase price. So a rate of return is related to one of these two items, or perhaps both. But if we're going to play with one or the other and we want to increase the rate of return, we'd increase income or decrease purchase price. But what that means is the reverse is also true. So if income on a project drops, then the rate of return is going to drop. Think about it. You can just work with any numbers. So let's pick some easy numbers. If the income drops to $80,000 a year and it's still an investment base of $1 million, well, then it's earning an 8% rate of return. The rate of return is going down. And then if the project costs us more to invest into, well, same thing. So if we're earning $100,000, but it cost us $1.2 million to buy this project, well, then we're earning an 8.3% rate of return. So a rate of return is impacted by the income that a project generates and its selling price. But we say it's directly related to income, which means as income goes up, rate of return goes up. And it's inversely related to the selling price, which means as the selling price goes up, the rate of return goes down. And of course, then the opposite is true. As income goes down, rate of return goes down. As selling price goes down, rate of return goes up. So this is the concept of this whole chapter, this rate of return. So remember what we're going to be doing here. we're going to have a comparable, a real property that's sold, and that's going to set a rate of return basis for us. We're going to use that rate of return to determine an estimate of the market value for subject property, which means we're going to have to play with this formula a little bit, but it's not that complex. So again, remember, net operating income divided by the selling price is equal to rate of return. That's the entire concept of this chapter. Now, let's just use some simple numbers. If I told you that 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5, I hope we would all agree. So it's the same setup as saying net operating income divided by selling price is equal to rate of return. 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. But I could state this in a couple other ways. I could also say, well, 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2. Doesn't change anything. It's the same relationship. So it's the same thing as saying net operating income divided by rate of return is equal to selling price. I've just flipped around the formula a little bit, but I'm using the same logic. Well, I could also say that 5 times 2 is equal to 10. Which is the same as saying the rate of return times the selling price should be the net operating income. So it's the exact same formula, just sometimes flipped on its head or flipped around, but it's the exact same logic. So if you ever get confused using this formula or anyone like it, keep this little 10 divided by 2 equals 5 in your back pocket. And if you ever have to rearrange a formula, it's much easier to use some simple numbers instead of trying to do it in your head. You'll try to perhaps save yourself from making a mistake here. So if 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5, then 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2, and 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So anytime I need to rearrange this rate of return formula, I keep that in my back pocket. I hope you do as well.